Welcome to the Gear Garage Live Show. This weekly YouTube show covers whitewater rafting, river safety,
oh God, I lost my paddle,
gear, and anything else Zach feels like rambling on about.
Well, here we are again on a Tuesday for the Gear Garage Live Show where I answer questions. This is a YouTube live show, so you can interact. If you have questions, throw them in the comments. I'll get to them as we go. Oh, look, there's one right now. Zilla Clerk. Do you know any details, progress on the search for the missing boater on the Illinois? I just heard about this like 5 minutes ago. For those of you that don't know, there's a boater who got to Greenwall. I think he got to Greenwall. Somebody can explain this better maybe, as I quickly read the article. And at Greenwall decided to hike south, which if you go south from Greenwall, it takes you to Tin Cup Creek, a whole other creek, and then up over to the Chetco. I think he told his friends he was going to the Chetco, but there's a creek in between that's like pretty steep walled. There is a historic trail down the river right bank of Tin Cup Creek, but I don't think it's cleared. I think it's just overgrown. But I haven't heard anything. If anybody's heard anything, let me know. It's an interesting story. I don't think it'll get very far. It is rugged. It's not just like the steepness, but just everything's so overgrown. Things like it seems like you could just walk through the forest, but the Kalmiopsis, it's just like overgrown brush that you're crawling through. There's poison oak everywhere, ticks. It's just very hard to move around in that backcountry. So I think people underestimate how rugged and tough it is to just walk around in the Kalmiopsis. So yeah, good question. So this is a show where I answer questions like that pop up. You could be listening to this as a podcast, which it's not intended that way. We just put it as a podcast so people can listen to it if they want to ask to do that. I don't recommend that. I recommend like watching live if possible, or at least watching, because I'm gonna show stuff on the video screen here that actually, like, I don't know, they might matter. Let's see. Did you see Nature Nicole's video from Boatsmith? She used your flip line to very calm, well-managed boat recovery. Yeah. Boy, I wish I is that on YouTube? How do I find that? I would actually like to talk about that actually on the show at the end. Sean, if you have that link to where it's at and send it to me, maybe at the end we'll go over it. It's pretty cool. And I was jazzed. You know, I did a rescue instructor course with Nicole last fall. So we spent 8 days together. And I showed her why the flip lines are awesome. So I was stoked to see she had it with her and then she used it. That was cool. Thanks for here's everybody. This is the comment Sean left. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Sean. I was super jazzed, and I should have thought to have that video up. Okay, so we're gonna talk about GoRafting.com, our sponsor, and get the questions. So I just want to remind everybody that you got your permits. I think everybody knows they got permits by now. If you got a Middle Fork of the Salmon permit, you're gonna want a map. Probably, I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna advocate for these maps that are done by GoRafting.com. You download an app called the Far Out app, which is designed for hikers, like through hikers, hiking trails, but it was great on rivers. And these were all made by river guides. People I know did most of these, and they're quality. I used one in the Grand Canyon and loved it. I keep saying why I love it. The biggest thing is it knows where you're at in terms of the mileage of the trip. It's not just there's you on a map and a dot. It knows how many miles you've done, how many you've left to go, and how many to the next camp, the next rapid, so forth, so on and so forth. So you can either look at the map, see your little dot move on the map, or you can just look at a list of what's coming up next. The list format was super cool on the Grand Canyon. And the thing they're doing, it's again, like save 85% with our Whitewater Classics bundle. This is insane. For $60, you're getting all these maps, like a ridiculous number of maps, basically all the good maps for $60, including the one I did for them, I think on the Illinois, which I did a pretty good job. I mean, I could have done better, I have to admit, but there's no good map of the Illinois. This is pretty much it. And I wrote a guidebook to it too that doesn't have a map. It's a guidebook. There's an actual map. And so, yeah, like all kinds of rivers, and they keep adding them. So it's a steal for $60. It's not worth their time to make these maps to charge $60 to give them all away. So anyway, quick reminder, if you got a permit, I would highly recommend going to GoRafting.com, getting the Far Out app, and then using that for your next trip. All right, let's get to questions. So, and Sean says, great middle salmon guide app. I sent a correction last summer and they responded and updated it. Yeah, the cool thing about the maps is that they can change them. Like if you have a paper map, it's done. you're going to buy the next edition in 6 years. So like in the Middle Fork, there's a bunch of rapid changes that I think they've updated. I should check. But like they can update it as it goes. So if a rapid changes completely, is washed out, they can change it on the fly. They don't have to like reprint a map. Huge advantage of doing it that way. Okay, so the first question, starting a guiding business. I know in the past, you've said you wouldn't have had a guide company the opportunity. Sorry, I'm reading this poorly. I know in the past you have said that you wouldn't have a guide company without the opportunity you were offered, and it's a tough business, but I love guiding and business and want to try and figure it out. Any advice for me starting fresh? I mean, I would say the biggest advice I would have, this is the advice that my mentor, Dick Linford, gave me. And Dick was the guy who owned Echo, and I worked for him for a long time, who gave me a full-time job and gave me my opportunities. He's key to my whole career. And he said, all that matters is sales. Like if you can sell it, you can figure out the rest. And that's true. Like you don't have a guide company without sales. So if you can't sell trips, you have a name and you have some boats, but you don't have a company. It's really about being able to fill the trips. And so you need to learn how to be a salesperson. And I know you're like, no, I'm a river guide. I'm not a salesperson. Guess what? As soon as you buy a rafting company, you become a salesperson. It's not as much guiding. When you own an outfitting business, it's not as much guiding as you think. It's a lot more like cleaning groovers, taking the truck to the welder, and doing sales. And you might think, oh, I can do without doing sales. Nope. You need to be able to do sales and marketing. And you can do these things either by running really amazing trips, which everybody thinks they do, but you really have to you have to know about a lot of different types of ways to run a trip to know what is the best. You can't just have worked for one company and know what the best is. You have to have seen a variety of rivers, variety of companies to have a sense of what makes a trip truly special and great. You can run trips that are truly special and great and semi-depend on return business. You'll still need to do some sales and marketing, or you can just do like an average trip and be a sales marketing person. But no matter what, you're going to do sales. And you, again, if you don't fill trips, you don't have a company. So, and Dick's point about for outfitting, that if you do sales, everything falls into place, because we deal with a lot of issues in outfitting, a lot of broken trucks, a lot of just broken stuff, roads that are closed. These problems can usually be solved with money. But if you're barely scraping by, you don't have the money to solve the problems, and it just gets worse and worse. So if you are selling trips and filling them, you have the money to do things correctly, to like fix things need to get fixed, have the right equipment, hire the right people. If you don't have sales and you're just out there being a guide, not selling trips, you're scraping by and you're always doing things like the cheapest way possible. So that would be my first advice. And you love guiding a business and want to try and figure it out. I mean, it's not as much guiding as you think. Yeah, but it's guiding and it's a unique business. That's for sure. So hopefully that helps. That's my best advice. Like take a course in search engine optimization, get good at internet marketing, figure out AI, how people get listed in AI, like learn graphic design. Like there's a lot of skills I've had to learn on the fly. Like be a good photographer. You need photos. Photos don't just magically show up at your doorstep. You're either going to take them yourself or you're going to pay somebody to do it. So learn photography. You're going to learn a million skills that are not guiding and not business. Like you can learn a lot about what you can weld onto a truck, things like that. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that's helped. Decent advice. And good luck. Okay. Ooh, this is small writing. Small rash for the wind, etc. That's the topic. I'm wanting to get more into rowing class 4 PNW creaky rivers such as the Wind, and need help deciding on my next boat purchase. I watched your video titled Smaller 12-foot cataracts, and while I want to be a cool cat boater, I love R2ing with my partner and don't have the space for another boat. I'm currently rowing a 10-foot raft, 62-inch wide, 16 diameter tubes, but finding it to be very flippy. even in high water class 3. I can't imagine taking on the wind. Those small boats are cool, but they're flippy. It's, they're good for certain things, but they're definitely flippy. I think boats like that, you could get down the wind. It's just going to be a lot. You're just going to, I haven't seen anybody take row a boat that small down the wind. So I don't know 100% sure like how possible it is, but I do know, I feel like I could take one down at the right levels, not high water for sure, but like I think I can get one down. I should do it just to like see actually. Anyway, what's the minimum size raft you would recommend for the wind? When I row rafts down, I really like a 13. It's such a nice size for the wind. Rowing a raft is definitely harder than rowing a cat. They're less maneuverable, they weigh more, and they can wrap. So, there's a lot, and they get stuck easier at lower water. The higher water, they're probably flippier. But it's a bigger challenge for sure. The 13 is a great size. Bigger works and is better at higher levels. If you're gonna start going in like the 7s and 8s, you're gonna want a 14 or a 16 potentially even. But the low levels, which it is most of the time, like 4.5, 5, 5.5, you're gonna want like a smaller boat at 13. But I wouldn't go much smaller than that. Hopefully that helps. I see you styling the 11-foot wing cat on the wind all the time. Looks like the perfect size, but it has huge tubes. Yeah, it's too short for high water wind trips. No, I use that boat for pretty high water. Not the highest water. That 11-foot wing cat is money. It's basically the same as the Sotar Legend Creeker. I think if you ask them about the Legend Creeker, it's a very specific 11-foot. It's a long water line, so it holds an angle really well, but it's small and nimble. I mean, I've taken the 11-foot at pretty high levels, but I do a 10-foot oar, so I have a lot of power. That's not for everybody, but it doesn't have huge tubes. But yeah, I think it's just average tubes. I don't think they're huge tubes. But it depends how you define high water. But that 11-foot cat to me is the most versatile cat boat. I would say the most versatile boat for what you said you wanted to do in your first paragraph. You said, I'm wanting to get more into rowing class 4 PNW creaky rivers such as the wind. The first thing I thought of, 11-foot cat. Whether you get the wing or you get the Sotar 11-foot creaker, same boat. They're just made for that. The smaller volume, creaky stuff. But again, like I'll take the 11-foot or higher water. It's great. The highest I ever ran the wind was on this gauge, 9 feet, just over 9 feet. I was in a 16-foot big tube cat, and my buddy was in like a 12.5-foot noodle. And there were advantages and disadvantages to both. I wanted to just power through stuff and have flotation. He wanted to be nimble and like take specific lines. He made it. He did great, actually. He led. He was the first. I didn't want to lead. It was pretty high. I wanted downstream safety for me. So he led with that and crushed it. So these small cats do better at high water than most people think. Okay, cool. I'm also considering an Air Sabertooth, but haven't heard any reviews of it that weren't sponsored. I think those boats are cool. I mean, if it was me, I would just get a 13-foot Air for what you want. Like rowing a 13-foot Air down the wind is sweet. It's a great R2 boat. Before everybody was R2ing these small boats, like everybody has those like little tiny Sotar boats now, the Merlins or whatever. Those are cool boats too for creaking and unique things. But before that, like when it was, Hans and Jeff Compton and Dan McCain and Josh, all the dudes who were getting after it in R2ing, they were all running 13-foot Airs. So it's a little bit more boat to carry, to put in and take out. It's more stuff, but the 13-foot, I would get the R, a 130R, is a great boat to row and an amazing boat to R2. That's the boat I would go, knowing the little bit I know about you here. Also considering a kayak. Lol. Yeah, kayaking's great. Kayaking's it's a different skill set, but they're all fun, all super fun. Okay, a couple comments. It's cool. Thanks for becoming a member. Those of you that don't know, you can become a member. I think it's like $2 a month, $3 a month. And what it does is it allows me to have a little bit of money to buy stuff to review. And so like I reviewed this drone a few weeks ago. I used it to buy this. I've only flown like 3 or 4 times. Turns out you can't even buy these in the US anymore. They stopped importing them. But it allows me to just do reviews of this drone, of just like I got this Kong thing, which I haven't reviewed yet. This is like a rescue piece of equipment I'm kind of playing with and getting to know. It's like a really simple camming device, but I'm always buying little things to like review and look into. And so by being a member helps me have a little extra money to buy some things to do reviews. And also I'll try to more often than occasionally, but I'll occasionally do members only videos. Usually if I'm on a river and there's like some carnage that I don't want to share publicly, which is most carnage, I'll go members only. So like members only mostly has video of things that have gone kind of wrong. You know, it's this video like, not quite, I don't really want to get out there. And so I'll go members only with a lot of the carnage. And maybe I usually will do some sort of track over it to share my thoughts. For a private group on the Middle Fork, what size do you think is a sweet spot for campsites? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, there's enough big, I hate to say this because I'm not 100% right about this. There should be enough large campsites for every group on the river to have a large campsite every night without a problem. The problem is once in a while there's like a Forest Service trip where they take the best camps, or there's River Patrol takes camps. So that kind of like gets in the way of things. And River Patrol take camps based on like something they need to do, like take care of an invasive species or do something. Sometimes the people who do the camps accidentally overload the last 2 nights because there's so many 8-day trips, and they end up putting like they put one small group in a large camp that's on an 8-day trip, and then it sets a chain of events that's a mess. So, but that's occasionally. Like usually there's enough camps for everybody. It's fine. Sometimes there's a chokehold that kind of messes things up. Like I've been a part of a couple of different messes. So, and all the camps are good on the Middle Fork. So, I mean, not all of them, they're all good. Yeah. I mean, there's not really any camps I hate. So, and I wouldn't say like if I'm a group of 10 or 12, I can only camp in this one spot. Where the Rogue, I can tell you some smaller camps that are spectacular, right? The Middle Fork, I don't think it matters that much, honestly. Yeah, good question. Unfortunately, Sean, the links don't come through here. I need some sort of email or something. I'll look and see. I haven't sent it. If you can email me, I think you have my email. That'd be the easiest. Okay, so let's move on. I think I answered this question. Okay, Middle Fork Water. Thanks for continuing to put on Gear Garage. I'm a big fan of what you do on it and all the info you share. I also really appreciate your approach, not telling us this is the way it has to be done, but rather this is what worked for me. But hey, consider this or that way of doing something. Yeah. Thanks for saying that. It means a lot. I just on that topic, I got unfortunately involved in a couple of comment wars about some things lately, both about actually people swimming out of boats and not being able to get back in. 2 people at the same time, because I have strong feelings about things and I want to share my opinion. But also my opinion could be wrong. I'm trying to be as clear as I can. Like I have strong feelings about people's ability to self-rescue and what that means for them going boating, based on me being around a lot of experiences with somebody swimming and not making any effort to self-rescue, expecting to be rescued, which was dangerous for them and dangerous for everybody else who had to do the rescue. I don't know if that made sense. I don't have a lot of patience for people that don't have either the ability or the willingness to self-rescue. Like once in a while, I'll teach a rowing class and somebody will tell me I'm afraid to go in the water. I'm afraid to swim. And that to me is a massive red flag. I'm like, man, I mean, this sport is in the water. You can't fall in the water and just lock up. You need to make progress towards another raft, towards your raft, to something safer than just floating down the river. So I just did a video about this that will go live on Thursday in response, but it's along with me saying that I appreciate you saying that. And I want to be clear to everybody. Like this whole channel is me sharing my opinions. Some of my opinions are very strong, and so I'll be very direct, but I'm still an opinion. And some of them I'm like, yeah, I kind of feel that way. and it won't be as direct. Okay, anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Okay. Nelson Trickler, is that the new door cam? No, this is the King Kong. No, it's not bigger. Hold on. Move. Yeah, here we go. This is the King Kong. So you can put a carabiner through here and then no, yeah, you put a carabiner. I forget how to do this now. Yeah, carabiner right here. This thing acts as a pulley, and this is like a rope grab. The rope grab doesn't have teeth. So it's a really interesting, lightweight, like camming device that's super simple. This isn't actually a moving pulley. It's just like a thing that rope slides over really well. And it works for webbing, and both webbing and rope. Super cool little device. And I got something else just like it. I can't find it. It's not the new door cam though. It's a really cool tool, or really cool thing. All right, let me get back to this. Okay, so I just received confirmation I was successful in pulling a middle fork of the salmon rafting permit for June 27th. So very excited. As the last time we did this river was over 20 years ago. Since then, my married band of private boaters have been down the Grand twice, Cherry Creek, Selway twice, Cotahuasi, Fulafu, Main Salmon twice, and a bunch on the Rogue, Salt, and Tea. That's awesome. That is some legit boating right there. That is really cool. Let me get to the question. Given your experience in the Middle Fork, what's your gut feeling as to the Boundary Creek put in potential level at the end of June, given the current snowpack? I won't hold you to it. I just wanted to get your take on whether we will be able to put in with a mix of 14 and 16-foot rafts. I would rather not want to fly in everything to Indian Creek if it can be avoided. So, first of all, it's insane to predict flows right now. Everybody's freaking out like, oh, it's a drought, everything's low water. It's February. So much can happen between now and the summer. This is like, even thinking about flows now is insane to me. Like, it's fun. It's a fun thing to talk about, a conversation, like at a bar, like just to make conversation. But like, I know you're all freaking out because of the flows. Like, there's actually a big storm coming right now. This can change dramatically. I've seen the low water years turn into high water years based on a cold, wet spring. Like 80% snowpack turning to 130. So a lot can happen between now and then. So agonizing over flows, and it affects me more than all of you. I have to hire way more airplanes. It's hard on equipment, everything. This affects me. I'm not even gonna think about this until maybe the end of April. I'll check the snowpack once in a while, just again to make conversation. But it's not. It's kind of a waste of my time to look at this until the end of April. That's just my feeling. But and what you're asking is, you have June 27th. You said, yeah, June 27th. Guys, if it's super low on June 27th, that would be pretty bad. If you were to extrapolate where we are now snowpack wise to throw an average year on that, which is not going to happen. This will not happen. If you were to extrapolate where we are now and just average it out to like till then, you're going to be fine launch from Boundary until at least the first weekend of July, the first week of July. I mean, if I was to extrapolate, I would guess we launch from Boundary Creek July 11th. Like, not even worried about it. So you shouldn't have any problem on June 27th. Now, it could get worse. It could get better, right? In terms of boats, we only run 18-foot boats. So, and the lowest I remember being on a trip is 1.47, which was we're going to run trips through the end of August. We will run 18-foot boats on our August 28th trip. So if we can run 18-foot boats on this year, I don't really care what the river levels are. We're going to run 18-foot boats and probably a sweep, almost for sure a sweep, August 28th this year. So if we can run 18-foot boats August 28th, you can run your 14 and 16-foot boats on the 28th or whatever, 27th, right? The thing about the Middle Fork is the bigger the boat, the better. You want to sit higher. What happens, what we see a lot at put-in, especially when it's Indian, people flying to Indian with their like little 12-foot boats think they're being cute, but they have the same amount of stuff. It's all packed up high and the boat's sitting super low in the water. As soon as they launch, they just get stuck. And then our sweep boat, that's 22 feet long, just cruises by them because it's sitting so shallow in the water. So you want bigger boats. I wouldn't even take the 14s. I would take as many 16s as you can. I take 18s if you can get them, especially with your experience. I don't know if you Did you row Cherry Creek? Did you row the Selway? What was the flows? Did you row the Cotahuasi? Did you row the Fudalufu? I don't know your rowing abilities, but if you rowed all these rivers, the Middle Fork at 1.5 should be like a picnic, especially a bunch of trips on the Salt and the T. If you're rowing the T in the summer at 1,000 CFS, there's no better training for low water Middle Fork than 1,000 CFS on the Tuolumne. If you're doing that and you're crushing it, the Middle Fork at June 27th should be a cakewalk. Okay, so hopefully that answers that question. More questions. Look at this. I think that's the last. Oh, more questions here. Nope, that's it. Okay, so let me close this. Hopefully answer that question well. Like basically you're fine. Unless you're not. Unless we open the snowpack at the end of April, like, oh no, it got worse. Then it might be worse, but I doubt it. Okay. Wow, lots of let's see. Let's see where we got. Let me go to comments. Email sent. A small group on the Middle Fork Salmon can stay at some smaller camps that are fun and different. We stay at Sunflower ones. Yeah, I mean Sunflower is like a 6-person trip, and you know it's funny. The times I've stayed at Sunflower, we didn't use the hot springs that much. You can only sit in the hot springs for so long, and it's not the best. I mean, I guess maybe some of you could. I can't. I can only spend like 45 minutes a day in a hot spring. After that, I've lost interest. It's not the best camp. There's not an easy kitchen. Like Sunflower's cool, but I'm not going to camp there. I've camped there twice, and both times we had to carry the stuff way high. And again, we didn't. It's not like you're going to sit in the hot spring for 6 hours. You're going to do maybe like 45 minutes. I actually like trail more for a riverside hot spring camp and a small group. Trail is sweet. There's a bunch of small camps. Don't get me wrong. Like there's some cool small camps. I just think that there's just so many. They're all good camps. Like it's not like the Rogue that it gets managed much better than the Rogue. Okay, here's another same question. Did you hear the story about the boater walking out of the Greenwall area? Any way we can help? I talked about this earlier in the show, but the quick answer is I heard of it. I don't know much about it. I mean, the only way I know to help is, if you went and floated the river, you might see him at the riverbank and be able to pick him up. Like he will probably end up back at the Illinois. Hopefully he can be like, hey, help me. But beyond that, I'm the wrong person to ask. I just learned about this 20 minutes ago. What about the snowpack and water in the Oahe in April? When do you start stressing about that one? It's funny. We just talked about this the other day. I'll start thinking about that at the beginning of March, which is a couple weeks away. Because again, like, man, the Oahe, it can be the best snowpack ever and it's too low. It can be the worst snowpack ever and then flood. The Oahe is impossible to predict anything. The weather, the flow, the snowpack. It's crazy out there. So I'm going to look at it. We have an April 10th trip. Early April is the most likely time for there to be water historically. That's the way we do trips then. I feel pretty confident our trip's going to go because it could still be like 500 CFS, so we will go. But it's tough. We'll see. If it doesn't snow between now and March, it'll be pretty easy to say, like, this isn't going to happen. But again, there's a storm coming. Things change really fast. Snowpack does not move in a straight line. It never does. Like we can even look. Let me see if I can pull up the graph. It would be instructive to look at previous year's graphs. Those of you that are like stressing out about snowpack. Let me see. This is a page I keep all my flow stuff for the Middle Fork. This is the graph. So like the green lines, right? That's average. They go in a pretty straight line up. That's like average and median, I think. You can see like the real world, it was 0 in early December, then kind of went back up, was below the lowest historically. Like this gray area right here, this is the lowest historical reading. So it was below that a lot. And then it shot up to average. Beginning of January, it was just average. And then it did nothing for a month. And it's kind of going up again. And it is not going to go up in a straight line here. I guarantee it's going to go down, up, back. Like, it's so interesting to like look back at this, like, man, what were we thinking, mid-February when we thought there'd be no water, right? It's never a straight line. Okay, we did a 5-day early June trip and got sunflower in a killer time. We were lean. Yeah, keeping stuff. I mean, if you're going to do sunflower, having like a lightweight stuff is sweet. yeah, I don't know. I just almost like, yeah, we're in the hot spring, and it's cool for 45 minutes, and I'm like, I don't know. We'll sit by the fire now. Maybe people like hot springs more than me. Scout the day before. Scout's a great camp. Yeah, I mean, that's access to sheep eater. That's what I like sheep eater camp, scout camp, where shelf, where you like get to camp, settle in, you hike to the hot spring, whether it's like, scout's like 10 minutes max, or shelf it's like 45 minutes, and then you go enjoy a soak for the ride, and then you finish off with a hike. That to me is wonderful. Like, it's just a nice way to do it. I prefer that over just like, having it right in camp sometimes. Okay, cool. I got to that. Got to all these questions. And then let me see if I got Nicole's video. Oh, here it is. Okay, so I got to figure out. We're going to review Nicole's video and then probably be done, everyone. Let me figure out how to share this. Give me a second here. Okay, so I have to share this. And we're remove that. Add this. Sorry, I'm talking to myself, everybody. I'm trying to let's see. I'm trying to share this video that Nicole took. It's really cool on the Smith. But why can't I do it? Share image file, share screen. There we go. And I apologize for being incompetent right now. Let me see if I can make this big. Oh. Can you guys see this? Hold on. I'll fix this. Don't worry. Here we go. Let's go full screen. There we go. That's the best we can do. So this is the. So let me turn the volume down really quick. Let me go back just to give context. This is the South Fork of the Smith Gorge, which, they're calling it class 4 at Boatsmith. I guess at this level, it's fairly straightforward, but I'm going to call the South Fork Smith Gorge like 4+ easy 5. Maybe, I don't know. It has some sieves in it and some like weird rapids. And I guess at higher levels, it definitely, I haven't done it this low that much, but higher levels, this is class 5E. I wouldn't underestimate this gorge. And they're doing races through there, which is fun and cool. And this was, I think, part of the race. And this is a cheat line. This rapid's actually kind of nasty on the left, but you can take this cheat line on the right. And the hole on the left can be a little nasty. And this ducky, this is a Cronin ugly ducky, just gets pinned in here. And really pinned down. And Nicole made a good point in her comment about this. This is on Facebook. That it's nice that they didn't just like, okay, wrap, pull out the 3-to-1, pull out the whatever, try a bunch of things out. You notice that she's kind of jumping up and down on it, kind of pushing on some things. This is what you do, right? Like, she's taking care of herself, safety. She's like not doing anything stupid. And I think they just talked to the board that went by. They was like, hey, are you okay? And like, yeah, we're fine. And she looks calm and just like pushing, trying things out. Nicole is the one with the camera on, has a rope in her hand. The rope is there as like safety. Like, Nicole's there in a safety thing. So if like this person falls in, Nicole can throw them a rope. I don't think the rope is there. Like, let's just attach a rope right now and pull it. It's more like I have a responsibility as a safety person. So this is just good rescue form. And this is the point where you're like, yeah, that's bad. You try some things and you're like, yep, that's kind of bad. Now we got to deal with this. This is the part Sean's talking about. That's my flip line that I make. And it's made out of this thing called ultra high molecular weight polyethylene. It floats, which is really cool. Probably won't float in whitewater because it's moving. But if you throw it in a pool, it'll float. It's super strong. I've yet to break one. And I pulled on it with my F-150 in like full reverse, full speed. And I think I broke the truck. It's that strong. It's crazy strong. And so instead of throwing a full rope on here, I really like what Nicole's doing is like, let's just throw a strap on this and just give it some pulls. Like, once you put a 70-foot rope on or whatever, you have to manage rope. And then what happens is somebody mantra comes up and says, let's do a 3-to-1, right? Where like when you have a flip line like this, you can grab on it really well and you're not having to manage that much rope. right? And if you let go of it, which isn't good, but if you do, you're only letting go of something just 12 feet long. That's a 70-foot snake in the river. So I think this is a smart move, using your flip line to pull from different, instead of pulling from different directions. I mean, this is textbook what you do, right? And you're going to pull and pull and pull. And maybe at some point you pull and you feel some movement. And that's when, like, hey, let's maybe think about some mechanical advantage. In this case, what they did, and I didn't watch this carefully enough to catch this the first time, so I'm watching it more carefully now, is they let some air out of the tubes, which is, I could almost say, the most effective way to manage a wrap. But there's some downsides too. Like, it's not something you can just teach, let air out of tubes. Like right here, they're letting air out of this tube. If the tube is in a spot like this or underwater, water can go inside the tubes, which you can fix. It's just not great to have water inside your tubes. It's like a problem. So when you see it, like what happened when they let air out, it changed the shape of the boat. And it's out. So instead of somebody saying, let's get a 3-to-1 going and ropes everywhere, like, tube deflation does work really well. It's just, the key is in any wrap, you really want to, in my opinion, change the shape of the boat. That should be in your brain. How do I change the shape of the boat? That's usually how it gets out. Well, if you let some air out, it definitely changes the shape of the boat. The problem is when you let air out, you can't put air back in while it's wrapped. I've never seen it happen. So it's a permanent thing. You've let air out. So, and it's hard to teach this because we don't have these places we can just sink rafts and let people practice letting air out, where you can practice a 3-to-1. I can practice on land all you want. And so the only way to like kind of get experience letting air out and kind of seeing what works and what doesn't before you do it yourself is to watch videos like this for sure, but like have been in the scene where it's done and it worked. And like, wow, that really worked. Maybe I can see why letting air out of this tube would change the shape a certain way for it to come off. You have to kind of think it through based on experience. You can gamble too, but at some point, if you let all the air out, the boat's going to sink. So you got to be, I don't know, you be a little careful with it. I'm a little hesitant to recommend. I would say letting air out is an amazing, maybe the best technique, but I'd be hesitant to tell people to do it because if you didn't do it right, it could not necessarily make it worse, but you don't need a boat that doesn't have air in it. You need air in your boat. And if you let too much air out, it becomes a problem. I'm not sure if that makes sense. It's really hard to explain why I'm a little hesitant to teach this, knowing how effective it is. But yeah, anyway. So let's see. My limiting understanding of Sarah. SAR. So my limit is SAR. Search and rescue. It's very important that no rafters go looking for that guy on foot until SAR says it's okay. And if you do go search, don't touch anything you find. I'm not sure what that means. Don't touch anything you find. It's very important that no rafters go looking for that guy on foot until SAR says it's okay. Okay. I mean, how do you get SAR's permission? Who do you call? I would think, and this, maybe I'm wrong, somebody correct me. If you wanted to help, it wouldn't be the worst idea to float the Illinois River because it's fun anyway. And just, if he's there, be like, hey, how's it going? Glad you're here. And maybe you don't touch him because you're not supposed to, but at least and then when he's like, or like, hey, it's good to know you're here, we'll tell people you're here, and then you can leave. Don't touch him. You could leave. At least you've located him. And then you call search and rescue in. But he's probably going to want to come with you. I'm just guessing. He's going to be like, hey, no, don't leave. I'm cold. I'm tired. Get me out of here. I don't see how that would be bad, but I'm not a search and rescue person. So, yeah, I think I wouldn't say – I think a good principle of search and rescue is like, don't just go out there and help with the search because then you could get lost too, right? Like, so if somebody's lost on Mount Hood, I could see why search and rescue doesn't want like a bazillion people up there trying to rescue them. It's putting more people in harm's way in dangerous conditions. Search and rescue is already taxed with the first rescue. I can see that. But if you're competent whitewater paddlers and you want to go float the Illinois and just look for the dude, not like you're doing an official search where you're as long as you have the abilities to run the river and it seems like not a bad idea. Maybe I'm wrong. Tell me if anybody's any thoughts. Let me know. that doesn't seem like it would be a bad thing to just float the river and just keep an eye on them. I'm not going to do it. Like, I had 5 hours away and I got to work this week, but it seems like people could. Have you ever used the Crossline Reach? If you have, what's your experience with it? I haven't used it. The guy who owns it is he pushes it very hard. He's always like trying to sell it all the time, like telling the value of it. I just don't personally. I could see like maybe someday there being a case where it's like, oh, it'd be cool to have that. But it's hard to think of that example, honestly. I could see how for search and rescue for a swiftwater team showing up to a scene, yeah, that's probably a cool thing to have. As whitewater boaters doing whitewater rescue, what I call whitewater rescue, I don't like calling it swiftwater rescue, what we do, because that's what search and rescue does. That's what firefighters do. For whitewater rescue, I'm not sure I see the value. The time I can think of that I might have used it is we had a few times I've had rafts surfing in holes, and it seemed like they were never coming out. There wasn't anybody in them. They're just there. It seemed like they are there for eternity, or at least till the river drops. And we just waited long enough and they came out. And we tried throwing bags of rocks in them. That never worked, but it gave us something to do. Felt like we were like doing something. I could see how having, in that case, a thing other than a bag of rocks might catch the raft. It probably wouldn't, but it has a better chance than a bag of rocks. So I, as a person who paddles whitewater and occasionally is involved in rescues, can only carry so much equipment with me. And I'm going to choose to carry other equipment over this thing, recognizing that, no, maybe someday I will wish I'd had it, but I don't think in my case it's going to save a life. I'm going to bring things like a CPR mask over there, like a nice CPR mask, a big first aid kit, a throw rope, like things that will, a saw. I'm going to bring these things right. Like that could save a life. I don't see how this, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody can point out how it's going to save a life. And if you have a real thing, I'm sure there is an example of it, but for the weight volume constraint I have on equipment, I see its value very low for me. So for that reason, I don't use it. I meant don't touch evidence or a body. Oh yeah. You can take it like, okay, got it. Cool. I didn't know. I don't think he's dead. That's my take. Like from the little bit I read, he just went on a hike and he will quickly realize it was a bad idea. And he's probably sitting by Greenwall right now, being like, oh, I shouldn't have gone on that hike. Damn it. That was dumb. But yeah, no, if there's a dead body, yeah, you don't go retrieve it. Don't go touch it. Anytime there's a dead body, they have to consider there was a murder. And so you're disturbing evidence. Right. And I've never had to move a dead body, but it doesn't sound like pleasant. Like that's the thing you leave to professionals. That's the thing you leave to swiftwater rescue. So one thing about rescue is like we're doing whitewater rescue. Again, like we're saving people who are alive. As soon as they die, we're done doing whitewater rescue. Our jobs, we're out. That's when you call in swiftwater rescue. They do body recovery. And they learn a lot of techniques, use a lot of ropes, a lot of stuff. They do body recovery. As whitewater boaters, we don't do body recovery. Boat buddies, whitewater rafting. Love the name. I agree. He's probably sitting there very cold. Yeah, he's probably just sitting by Greenwall. He's not going anywhere. If he makes it out from there through Tin Cup Creek to the Chetco, that would be a cool story. I don't want to tell. Nobody should do this, but I'd like to hear about that hike actually, because it's very rugged country, but also very interesting country. But I don't think he got very far. He has to be a pretty physically and mentally strong person to have gone very far, leaving Greenwall south. There's a trail north of Greenwall, but you have to cross the river, climb a cliff, and then scramble through a bunch of brush just to get the remnants of what used to be a trail that connects to the Illinois River Trail. I'm pretty sure it hasn't been cleared. There's a trail that used to go out down South Bend. So there used to be a way to go north there. Well, I mean, not from the river, but like if you could get across the river, up the cliff and through the brush, there used to be a way out. But south, it is brutal out there. Cool. Well, good show, everybody. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for the good questions. Thanks for the comments. And that's it for this week's show. Well, if there's more questions, we'll do a show next week. If there's not questions, maybe we'll do a show anyway. Maybe I'll just sit here and ramble on about whatever I'm in the mood to talk about. But again, thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I love subscribers. I'm on a subscriber hunt right now. So if you don't subscribe right now, please take a second and do that. It costs you nothing. Takes a second. Just press that button down there. It says subscribe. It makes me happy. It feeds my ego. If my ego is too big, don't subscribe. Honestly, if you're a subscriber and you think my ego is too big, you should unsubscribe. Right? Just be like, my ego needs to be in check. So please do that. But actually just subscribe no matter what. Don't unsubscribe. That's a bad idea. But thanks for watching. See y'all next week.